with the next mega fight of 2023 being Vasiliy Lomachenko versus Devin Haney. Devin Haney defending his undisputed lightweight title against Lomachenko, trying to get back his lightweight titles. We're going to be getting into Vasiliy Lomachenko a little bit this video. We already did with Devin Haney. And as for Lomachenko, this is a guy who is already, in my opinion, a lock for the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's accomplished an insane amount in the world of boxing, from his amateur to pro career. But to get into a bit of his amateur career, first and foremost, this number, it's not a lie.
Insane.
I just have to give a warning to anybody who might be shocked by this. Vasiliy Lomachenko in the amateurs went 396-1. Yeah.
He also was in the amateurs a little longer than most people too.
Yeah, definitely turned pro.
But it's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
definitely turned pro for a bit older. Obviously, Devin Haney turned pro at 17. Lomachenko, I'm pretty sure, was in his late 20s.
25 or 26, mid-20s.
Yeah, Lomachenko, it's definitely late, but can't really judge. I think that's an appropriate route. You can either develop in the pros early on, or if you want, stay and polish up in the amateurs and do what Loma did. Because before we get into his pro career, just 397 fights, only one loss. You're already pretty polished at that point, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, and that one loss was to Russian Albert Selimov. I'm not sure if I said that right, but it was at the 2007 World Championships. Loma came home with the silver medal in that, and he actually got revenge on him later on in the amateur career twice, beat him twice later on, so maybe it was just a fluke. But honestly, if you want to go back and look at Loma's reaction after that fight, it's so devastating, and you can tell how serious he was about boxing and everything, because this dude was legitimately crying afterwards, and you could tell he was just devastated.
Yeah, I mean, when you got that sort of record on the line, to have a record that clean on the line,
Yeah.
I could see why the emotions would come out strong. But regardless of that, though, he obviously got a bit of a head start in the pros, I feel like. Obviously won his debut with a 4th-round KO against Jose Luis Ramirez. And with that, he got his first title.
Started.
Yeah. His first title opportunity. It was an opportunity to break the record for the fastest, I think, amount of fights to win a world title.
It would have broken it.
Would have broken it, but unfortunately, he took the loss to Orlando Salido, lost by a split decision. Some people argue he won the fight. I don't think he won the fight, just off looks, but at the same time, Salido you could argue he fought dirty. Yeah, that's way in the past now, though, because Loma came back in his next fight and another title opportunity and beat Gary Russell Jr. Those in the boxing world know what's up with Gary Russell Jr. He's a beast. Even though we saw him lose recently to Mark Magsayo, he got hurt in that fight. We know what's up with Gary Russell Jr. And Loma definitely outworked him. Obviously, the scorecards show it was a close fight, but I think Loma definitely had the edge.
Yeah, I definitely do too. He definitely, I felt, outworked Russell in that. Definitely had the better footwork in that fight from what I remember, but also in the Salido fight, he actually didn't make weight for that fight, so that wasn't a world title fight for him. It was just for Lomachenko.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so it kind of sucks that Lomachenko wasn't able to get it there and break the record for fastest world title, but ended up tying it, getting the third one. 2014 through 2015 had three easy title defenses. I'm pretty sure all those were KOs, if I can remember right. And then Roman Martinez. This was actually a good opponent for Lomachenko, but he definitely did his job in this fight.
Oh, without a doubt. And honestly, in 2016, 2017, added a couple other good names as well. Nicholas Walters was definitely a really good name at the time. I know he hasn't been around in a while, but him and Jason Sosa, that was definitely a recognizable name. And Loma handled those guys pretty easily. But honestly, a fight that really stands out to me is his performance against Guillermo Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux, future Hall of Famer in my opinion, and Lomachenko made him quit on the stool. Obviously, you could make the argument that Rigondeaux jumped up in weight a good bit because he did. But the way that Loma was able to get past his defense when nobody else could, it was impressive for sure. Yeah, you could argue it was the size difference, but still, Loma's he wasn't a big fighter. I'm pretty sure that fight was at 126. Or
Loma, I feel like, has always been the smaller fighter in most of his fights anyway.
Exactly. So having the size difference against Rigondeaux obviously was an advantage, but still, the way he handled him, we haven't seen really anybody do that to Rigondeaux. So that's definitely a fight I think Loma deserves credit for, that people try to take the credit away from. But Loma building up off of that, obviously a couple other really solid performances, including defeating Jorge Linares by a 10th round stoppage. I'm pretty sure that was the first career knockdown for Lomachenko too. First time he's ever touched the
Yep.
canvas. And
Hmm.
he came back and strongly handled Linares with a nasty body shot from what I remember. Also stopped Jose Pedraza and Anthony Crolla. And the Luke Campbell fight, I think Luke Campbell performed better than I expected, but Loma still handled it handedly. And all that stuff leading into this fight with
All
Tiafimo,
the hype
Loma
into
had
that
all.
fight.
Oh yeah, Loma had all the belts, but one, I believe, the one that Devin Haney held at the time that people were trying to dispute. Obviously, Tiafimo got the victory against Lomachenko. Some people argue that Lomachenko did win the second half of the fight, but I think Tiafimo won that fight fair and square, even though Loma was injured. But still, Tiafimo won on the cards for sure. But
That 109.19 is wild, though. I have to say
insane,
that.
and that is insane. I'm looking back at it, I almost forgot about that. But
Yeah, I
that,
actually forgot about that. While I was making the graphic, I was like, I can't believe there was a 109.19 in that fight.
oh yeah, no, it wasn't that wide because I feel like Tiafimo clean swept the first 5-6 rounds, and then I feel like
Mhm.
Loma, you could argue Loma clean swept the second half of the fight, but Tiafimo definitely picked up the 12th. So I think that's what gave him the edge. But 119, 109, outrageous. But regardless of that, Lomachenko bounced back and defeated Nakatani in a brutal beatdown, to be honest. Nakatani got cooked in that fight. I feel bad for him because Loma was all over him. And then after that, obviously, things went down in Ukraine, and Lomachenko had to do what he had to do to serve his country.
Yeah, and mad respect to him for putting his professional career on hold for that. But after being over in Ukraine for about a year or so-ish, can't really remember how long, he came back and fought Richard Comey. That was a pretty dominant fight, but that's another really good name to have on his resume. All these names on this list are, honestly, and then he fought Jermaine Ortiz last year. Jermaine Ortiz is actually one of his sparring mates. He's fought against him a bunch throughout his boxing career, training and stuff, so it was pretty cool to see that. But the scores of this fight were actually closer than I thought they should have been, but Jermaine Ortiz still did bring it to Lomachenko for this fight.
Yeah, credit to Ortiz. He definitely surprised me and
Big
performed really
time,
well.
honestly.
But still, Loma had the edge in the fight, I think, and was the clear winner for sure. But yeah, Lomachenko's resume, whether amateur or pro, is pretty insane. He's got some names on it. And the thing is, with Lomachenko, he's got 19 pro fights. Like it's this many names, and he doesn't even have 20 fights yet. So I think that's huge credit to Lomachenko for sure. Only thing is, unfortunately, when in this matchup with Devin Haney, Lomachenko is now 37 years old. I think that's something definitely to keep in mind. I think a step slower for sure, especially considering footwork was. Excuse me. I didn't want to get ahead into the strengths part, but yeah, footwork being one of his highlights.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. No, but I mean, definitely. I mean, this dude's got super good footwork. I mean, he's technically good. His power is really, really good, and defense is pretty solid too. I mean, this guy's got a lot of strengths, but he's also got some weaknesses too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I think when he's on his game, very few weaknesses.
Hmm.
But the problem is his defense, honestly, his angles where he's finding stuff, it all depends on his footwork. And I feel like we've seen fights where Loma's footwork is feeling better than other days. Like we've seen fights where his feet maybe are a little flatter than you would expect. So really, I think it just depends. If Loma's legs are under him, I think he can make this a lot more of an interesting fight. I think Loma is sturdy enough that we don't have to worry about his chin, especially against Devin Haney. Loma's not going to get stopped in this fight for sure. I just
Unless
think,
we're surprised.
yeah, it's boxing. It's boxing. Anything can happen. But that's a safe bet, I think. Loma seeing the final bell if he's not the one stopping Devin Haney. But yeah, Lomachenko being 37, I don't know. Like that's just I've got some concerns for that. I'm a big Lomachenko fan to be honest, but seeing him up against Devin Haney as young and athletic as Haney is, what's Haney, 24? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's
24, 25, I think somewhere around there.
yeah, compare that to 37. Who knows though? At the same time, we might get a Floyd Canelo freaking remake right here. But in all seriousness, no. I see Loma's definitely got a chance. He's just got to capitalize on his strength, and his biggest strength being footwork, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, and if he can capitalize on that, I think he's got a pretty good shot too. He's got some really good power. It's just that can he get through to Devin Haney, honestly? And
Hmm. It's really his jab that he's got to get around. To be honest, like get it, once he could get past that, if he could get inside, I think Lomachenko's cooking at that point.
oh yeah, and honestly, I can't wait for this fight to happen. If you want, go ahead and subscribe to see our preview coming up next week. We're also closing in on 100
Oh
subscribers,
yeah.
so make sure you hit that button too, because we'll be doing a giveaway, $100 giveaway. So if you want to win that, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, you better take that 100 and then listen to one of our previews and bet it on whichever fighter we think is going to win, because we're going to make you more than $100 after that. So definitely look forward to that giveaway. Cannot wait for that. I just really cannot wait for this Devin Haney versus Vasiliy Lomachenko matchup. Undisputed lightweight title fight. Honestly, we could have gotten this fight a few years ago for Undisputed when Devin had the one WBC belt and Loma had all the other belts. But here we are now in 2023. Tables are turned, but we're still getting another mega fight in boxing. I cannot wait for it. But until then, peace.
Peace.